Up the hill they marched, armed only with flags. The Ukrainians were going to take back their own base. They were marching straight towards the Russian guns. We're the masters here, the Ukrainians shout as they follow their commander onward. Theirs not to reason why. They were warning shots fired into the air. No one was hurt, but shots nonetheless, the first in this phony war. Stop or I'll shoot, shouts the Russian. His warning is ignored. America is with us, comes a voice from the Ukrainian side. It's tense. They're eyeball to eyeball, but eventually they agree to talk rather than fight. The two commanders retreat to behind a Russian truck for negotiations. Well, the Ukrainian commander has given the Russians a deadline which expires in 5 minutes, and he's asking them to get off his base. But all of his men are unarmed, and these Russians are tooled up. The men stood around waiting nervously. There were rifles to the right of them, rifles to the left. But as they waited, anxiety turned to bewilderment.
This is absolutely crazy situation. It's craziness, because we are one nation, we have one history, we have... I am personally have a lot of relatives in Russia. My father now in Russia, after divorcing with my mother here.
As the standoff continued, we went back down the hill to the garrison town of Belbek. The Soviet Union could almost be alive and well here, except that unity is in short supply. This is a community being torn apart. Many genuinely welcome the Russian troops here. Many would like to see Crimea become part of Russia. But others don't, and for them the future now looks an uncertain place. Captain Andrei Marchenko has served 20 years in the Ukrainian military. He and his wife Tatiana have a 3-year-old daughter, Bogdana, and a second on the way. In 2 years' time, Andrei will be eligible for his Ukrainian state pension. But what if, by then, his home is no longer in Ukraine?
Thanks to Mr. Putin, we might be forced to take Russian citizenship. Our pensions will be worthless. How will we live then? Or if we don't take Russian citizenship, will they kick us out and we'll have to go and live in Western Ukraine?
They both concede that many people in Belbek prefer Vladimir Putin to Ukraine's current chaotic leadership. But Andrei says he thinks they're deluded.
People think Russia is some kind of paradise. They think Putin will come and make everything better. But they forget that in Russia they have the same corruption we have. There's no difference.
In the afternoon, the Ukrainian airmen returned from their confrontation with the Russians. Their supporters, many of them officers' wives, cheered them on, but they hadn't got what they wanted. Well, they've come back from their talks with the Russians. They're marching into their own base here, but up there, the Russians are still holding the position on the hill. The men of the Belbek garrison say they'll defend Ukraine's sovereignty in Crimea, even if it means a fight. The Ukrainians do have some guns of their own, but they're no match for Russian firepower. And they know that one shot from them could spark a real shooting match with catastrophic consequences.